Hello everyone, this is Walking Problem. Um, Today's date is 8th of November. It's 1:26 a.m. in Singapore. Nagaenthrans K Dharmalingam. This is the latest controversy that appears in Singapore, and I wasn't aware of this issue until one of my friends on Facebook started ranting about this, and then after that I saw the news article appearing on Yahoo, and then I was like, what is this? So uh, so if you do not know what happened, is that Nagaentran is a Malaysian. I'm not sure if Indian descent have any meaning. So it's a Malaysian who trafficked 42.70 uh 42.72 gram of heroin into Singapore in the April of 2009. So it's actually a hell long of time ago. And he entered into Singapore from Malaysia through the Woodland checkpoint, and the bundle of heroin is strapped to his thigh, and then he confessed to committing the crime. Uh, and he gave statement that he committed the crime because the mastermind, the drug lord, or whoever the kingpin is, threatened to kill his girlfriend. And then he also claimed that he needed the money to pay off his debt. So, and then he claimed that he did not know what is those content. So whatever it is, he was sentenced to death on the November of 2010, and then so there was this moratorium placed on all hangings pending judicial changes of mandatory death penalty laws. Then after that, it's considered to be changed to life imprisonment with or without caning, blah blah blah. Then after that, so Nagaentran was tried to appeal for his sentence to be reduced to life imprisonment on the ground of low IQ, mental impairment, defense of duress, and tried to challenge the decision that was charged against him. All appeals are dismissed, and then he lost his appeal for clemency, and now is on death row, which is scheduled on the 10th, which is 2 to 3 days from now. And the big controversy is that the rights groups are saying that he is mentally challenged, he is super low IQ, and then that based on this ground he cannot and should not be sentenced to death. And they claim that no, based on the level of IQ or no mental incapability, he wouldn't have known the consequences of what he do, and then that he could be manipulated into doing this kind of thing without really fully understand the scale of the risk that he is taking. So this Singapore have very very strict rules when it comes to drugs. So when you bring in 42.72 gram, it's just not a lot. I think it's just like that, a little bit. It's death sentence. In fact, very little bit, it's going to be a very very heavy crime, and anything more than a certain amount of gram, I can't remember what's the grammage, but it's death sentence. So usually, bringing drugs into Singapore is a terrible terrible idea, and it's already well known. It's world famous that we will hang anyone who bring drugs into Singapore. And this law is not just applied in Singapore as well. It's applied in, I think, I'm not sure Thailand, but I know it's Indonesia as well. I think Malaysia should have, but I think there's some changes. I'm not too sure. So and so so after what I said about the all the rights groups saying about how he is mentally impaired, MHA, the Ministry of Home Affairs, actually responded. He said that the court and the Court of Appeal both found that this guy understood fully the nature of his crime. They found that this guy know exactly what he is doing, and as such, even if the IQ is supposedly low, he know what he is doing and what he's doing this thing for, and he's not under threat. That means not under duress, which is what whatever that means, under duress, which is under threat, and he's not under that, and then he's doing it for money, to clear his debt. And then so you can see that he said that Nagaenthrans defense of duress, which was fully stated in court, was fabricated. This was subsequently upheld by the Court of Appeal, and then the Nagaenthrans himself, I'm not sure what this word means, resolved from his claim of duress in subsequent proceeding and accepted that he committed the offense because he needed money, as opposed to having laboring under any threat. And then they found that this is a working of a criminal mind, and it was deliberate, purposeful, calculated division on his part to take the chance. So there is a petition. Let's see, there is a petition to the President of Singapore to pardon him, and then so I can see that as of the moment, there's only 61,000 people signed. So 61,000 people signed, not that much, because in Singapore, right, people Singaporeans don't really give that much of a damn about any criminals who especially bring drugs to Singapore. I think most Singaporeans really don't give them. And but for anyone that is anti-government, or anyone who is social justice warriors, or anyone who have liberal tendency, or very left wing, very politically correct, or have moral have very high moral high moral, how to say, benchmark for themselves, they will find this particularly disturbing thing, because how can you criminalize, especially kill off a person who is mentally problematic, have a disability in mentally, and they say that this is wrong. So in that sense, I can understand where they're coming from. It is not wrong. They say no, when someone is mentally unsound, or mentally having issue, or have a disorder, or they're just born like this, they may not be able to think through very clearly, or they may not fully understand what the hell they are doing. And in this case, he somewhat seems to know what he's doing. And my position is this: I think this is my counter arguments, because just like my show is called the common bad. Why? Because in terms of the common good, we need to protect this guy, because he is disabled, intellectually disabled, and we need to protect him because it's for the common good, right? It's for the common good. For common good, it's for it's wrong. This kind of thing is wrong. But my counter argument is this: he know probably that he's in debt. He borrowed money maybe from the loan shark, and then the loan shark, of course, gave him problems, and then probably gave him the ultimatum: you do this and then you clear your debt. And he decided to do it. Could be like that, could be just like that. And then maybe he do not know it's a death penalty. I'm not sure whether he is clever enough to understand the severity of what he's doing, but the heroin is actually tied to his tie, so he must know that something wrong with this thing, right? And so this part of course is still controversial, right? Because it's very hard to gauge, especially something that's so long ago, and maybe it's very hard to to just say that is must be because of this, that he because of money, because he's really understand what he's doing. Okay, sure, we can just ignore this, which is of course what the court is saying. But think about this: what happened if he get away? Okay, he get away from this death sentence, or maybe even based on his intellectual problems, they let him free, for example. Then what's the consequences? From now on, all the drug lords will just pick on all these mentally unsound people, these mentally disabled people, and recruit this kind of people to do the drug trafficking. For sure, 100% for sure. Because they know that you get away. Because you just say that, oh, I'm intellectually disabled, and thus you will not be given a death penalty. Perhaps in a lot of cases, when you have mental problems, and especially intellectual disability, you actually get away from a lot of crimes. And like for real, like you like just cannot be, you just cannot be criminalized. And if this is the kind of reasoning that we are going towards, then all the drug lords will just for sure just pick intellectual disabled people and do their criminal stuff, to do the drug trafficking. And they know that these people have no risk. And so by saving this one guy, we might be putting in danger hundreds or even thousands of other people. We're not sure how many mentally disabled people they can find. I'm sure that people can make things up about themselves being mentally disabled. And I'm not talking about this guy. I'm talking about like future guys, where if they get caught, and then they'll have to make up these stories, and it will make it just cause a lot more death, because all these people will end up be hanged, and then those people who are intellectually disabled will be pushed into a life of crime. You'll get jailed, get in prison. They will be forced into criminal activities. And this is going to be the side effect. If this guy Nagaenthrans get off scot-free, this is going to be the side effect. Future drug traffickers will be all mentally disabled people or intellectually disabled people. If the drug lords can find them, they will use them. If they don't want to do it, they'll beat them until they do it. All right? It's possible. What? That's the original claim, right? That he was beaten up, and then he's trying to save the girlfriend or something like that. And that's the side effect. And there is no right way to go, to be honest, depending on where you stand morally. If you feel that just because it's intellectually disabled, he can get off scot-free for a capital crime. What if he murdered? Let's say he commit a murder. Can he also get off scot-free? Then what if he murdered your family, or your girlfriend, or your wife, or your husband? Then how? It's also a capital crime. It's just as bad. Murder and drug trafficking in Singapore is the same. Both are death sentences. So some people might say, I'm putting it into a totally off of context, but it is the context. It is a capital crime, and there's no difference between drug trafficking and murder. It's the same. It's just that one, the victim get it immediately. The other one, they get it over a longer term. Anyone who takes heroin, their life is going to be hell. Absolute hell. Because firstly, heroin is very hard to get in Singapore. Very hard. And if they need it, their life will be destroyed. If they're addicted to heroin, that's it, man. They're going to be spending ridiculous amount of money just to get heroin into Singapore, so that they can fix their addiction. or to just keep the addiction going. And that's 1 life destroyed, 2 life destroyed, 10 life. I don't know. I don't know how 42.72 grams of pure heroin, I don't know what you can do. So, but that is the trade-off. You can save this guy, but you will cause a lot more of such people to be incriminated, to be pushed into a life of crime. Whether they owe money or not, it doesn't matter, because they are already intellectually disabled. They will just they can just be beaten into submission, and they won't know better. They won't know better because they're already intellectually disabled, and they will be pushed into a life of crime. And that's how it is. Or this guy get hanged, and then the criminal gangs and the drug lords will realize that, okay, this doesn't work, and then no one else will get hurt. Unfortunately, that's the cruel trade-off. We can save this guy, sure. I mean, President Halimah just say pardon his pardon, right? Correct. But what is the consequence to the pardon? Have people, especially all these people, think about it. And I want to also talk about all these groups, especially, you look at this Lawyer for Liberty. You look at what they say. They say that the statements are substantially similar, hence this appears to be mainly a Goebbels-like exercise in repetition. Who is Goebbels? Goebbels is Joseph Goebbels is a Nazi-era propagandist. Basically, he's saying that the Singapore government is lying. Am I reading it right? Singapore government statement accused the Malaysian convict altering his academic qualification to show his inferior IQ, as denounced by the psychiatrist during his trial, condemned by a rights group, akin to the lies repeated in the. So yeah, correct. So this group is using Nazi accusations against the Singapore government to say that Singapore government lies. It's very simple. The moment where you see someone make this kind of statement, this group is disqualified from you should not believe this kind of people. As the moment they start to use this kind of analogy, right, it's out. You should not, because when someone says something like that, they have a very clear objective, that is to demonize whoever the target is, and in this case the Singapore government. This is an anti-government group, and I do not endorse this kind of group. The moment you make things up, you say, oh, you talk like that, you are like Hitler. You do this kind of thing, you're like Stalin. That's it. This kind of group or people, you just cannot listen to them anymore. They are not talking about the details, to be objective about what is being said. So this accusation, I do not know. I don't read enough about this thing. But whether it's inferior IQ or not, he brought the drug in, and that's it. That is the law. You want to blame, then maybe in a way we can blame the family for not taking good care of him, allow him to have a messed up life, and then end up he have to deal with the triads, and end up he is in a situation where he have to carry drugs across the causeway. What is the chances of you meeting someone who have heroin? To be honest, it's not easy. It's not that easy. You can go Geylang walk 10 rounds. No one will give you can't find anyone with drugs. It's very hard for him to meet people who have the drugs, who want to do drug trafficking. His life is in hell. You save him, you just let him go, his life will still be a hell. I'm not this is all these people who are fighting for rights, his rights. No, they're not fighting for his rights. For most cases, they are fighting for social justice. That's why social justice warrior. They're not. They're fighting for something that they can feel proud of. That's all. It's not for his real welfare. His life is already hell. I'm not sure how let's say changing the death row to a life sentence is going to make things better for him. I have no idea. Do you want to die or be have on a life sentence? To me, I really don't know why I want to stay in a prison for the rest of my life. And I could just escape the entire torture and just die. Some people will just choose death. For me, I think I would choose death. I don't know. I don't intend to be in that situation. So this article was the one that got me like, what the hell is going on? Because the Prime Minister of Malaysia actually written to Lee Hsien Loong that he hoped that Singapore government could still, give pardon to Nagaenthrans. And then this Malaysia now obviously is very anti-Singapore. You can see all the stories that they have posted. And of course they need to quote this group that I already have like dismissed. So Ravi is the advocate constitutional challenge. Yeah, I don't think he will go anywhere because Ravi reputation was quite smashed. I don't think the court will give him a fair I'm not sure. Maybe the court would. I don't know. But I don't think it will go anywhere. Singapore have very strong laws when it comes to drug. The whole purpose of all these things is deterrence. Singapore is not going to save one man whose life is already a mess, this guy, and create more criminals as a result. And it will fail in the deterrence will become worse. Like I said, if he escape, and depend on what's the level of escape that he get, the more he can escape, the worse it would be for other people who is like him in Malaysia, because they will be in trouble. The triads, the gangs, the drug lords will start to hunt for this kind of people, beat them or coerce them or trick them into submission to do drug trafficking for them. We seriously do not want this to happen. That is my point. Whether he die or not, he's not going to affect my life. So it's not going to affect most people's life. Whether his family cares or not, I also don't know. I like I said, I don't really go too deep into this thing. I just want to point out that saving him have unintended consequences, and we really need to think about this much deeper. He only have 2-3 days left. I wish him all the best. I'm not sure all these requests will come to anything, but definitely the people who are anti-government, anti-PAP will make their best use of this case to demonize the Singapore government and the PAP leadership as much as they can. They'll milk this for their own political purposes, milk them for their own advocacy purposes, and I can tell you, none of these people really cares about his life. That's all for this video, and I'll see you in the next video.